Since you started in Trucost 12 years ago, so you have been working on natural capital. So would you tell me what the natural capital is and why we need to focus on natural capital?
Yeah, so natural capital is both the dependency that businesses have, and we all have, on nature. So we all need fresh water, we all need clean air, we need crops, food, we need timber, we need stone, we need minerals. That is all natural capital. So that's our dependency on the planet and the resources. And on the other side, there's also an impact that we have on the planet. We also would value that. So we value pollution, we value the impact of climate change, we value the impact of toxic releases to water, for example. So we see both sides, if you like, of the coin. We see the dependencies on the planet and also the impacts, and we put a price on all of that. And the reason why we do that is because we believe that it's very important to understand from a dependency point of view where you will see future scarcity. Because future scarcity creates increased cost for businesses. So this is a real business issue. This is not an ethical issue, this is a business issue. It will create future costs, and we're already seeing in commodity markets, the volatility of the commodity markets has increased 3 times since the year 2000.
Really? 3 times?
Yeah, 3 times. So the cost fluctuation is very hard to manage, and a lot of that fluctuation comes from a lack of understanding of our dependency on nature, in that case water, for example. And also in terms of pollution, we think that businesses need to understand the cost of pollution. So for example, the cost of air pollution in China is up to 10% of GDP. So what is to say that the companies would have to pay 10% of their revenue as a consequence of the air pollution that they are creating? So if the regulator changes their mind and suddenly thinks that way, the cost could rapidly increase for companies that create the pollution. So we think as a company you want to be more efficient. You want to use less resources that are scarce. You want to find ways of optimizing your supply chain. You want to reduce your pollution because that will be your cost in the future.
Okay, so it seems to me that all your idea is that in order to have a more efficient or sustainable business, so that all the business managers need to understand the ecosystem of business and the natural capital which they depend on. Yeah, because the fluctuation of the raw materials or the commodity is becoming much greater.
Yeah.
And so if we just keep continuing our old business style or business as usual, so maybe they may fail in the future. So am I right?
Yeah, so we would estimate that if we continued the usual business style, then the cost to business will be 50% higher.
Oh, 50%?
Yeah.
That's
so we think that basically profits will be eroded and lost to the 50%.
Wow.
And that's because of scarcity and potential regulatory cost in the future. So natural capital accounting puts a price on that cost. It costs, it shows what that cost would look like if the regulator forced the company to pay, and if the supply chain increased in cost because of scarcity and lack of resources.
So natural capital accounting is to visualize the risks or the potential risks or the significance of the natural capital scarcity or any future impact that the business may have.
Yeah, it's to visualize it and allow for that risk to be communicated in a common language, which is the language of money. So if you are a sustainability expert, you will understand environmental issues, you will understand ecosystems. But in order to communicate risk, wouldn't it be great if you could say that the cost we might be exposed to, the risk in yen terms, looks like this, and then you can talk to the finance team about that risk in a way that you can't if you're just talking about biodiversity loss, carbon emissions, or water use, because your finance team will not understand that usually.
So it is not at all ethical or responsible perspective, but it's more on the management perspective.
Yeah, it's an economic issue.
Economic issue.
And it's an issue of risk to our global economy, which ends up obviously being an ethical issue because we won't be able to sustain our lifestyles. We will have more poverty, we'll have more migration, we'll have more risk for the planet, which is all an ethical issue, but it will impact on businesses.
I see. And I think that now there are many growing number of the organizational initiatives are working on natural capital or natural capital accounting, like Natural Capital Coalition or GRI, IIRC, and Accountability for Sustainability. So do you think they all have the same perspective or same understanding about natural capital?
I think that people are coming